Okay, so Xi'an's History of Rock, Part 15, Grunge. I will also be covering grunge rock and alternative rock. So terminology, grunge is from Seattle, Washington State, on the northwest coast of the United States, not to be confused with Washington, D.C., which is the political capital of the United States, 3,000 miles away on the east coast, the Atlantic coast of the United States. Grunge rock can be described as similar sounding bands, but not necessarily from that part of the world, Washington State, Seattle. My band, for example, Stony Sleep in the 90s was often referred to as a grunge rock band, even though we were far away back in London. And so not a grunge band really, but with a kind of similar sound, similar influences. Alternative rock was like garage rock terminology in the 60s, you know, any non-commercial rock band, kind of catch-all, no particular style. This was a really important term. This seems to have been used first of all with Husker Du and the Minneapolis scene in Minnesota, Husker Du and the Replacements and bands like that, and then later used to describe the East Coast, Boston, Massachusetts scene, promoted by 4AD, the record company, who already had lots of new wave bands like Cocteau Twins and Dead Can Dance, and then started to sign these East Coast US bands like Flowing Muses and Pixies and Belly. Breeders, I think, is 4AD as well. So alternative rock term, in fact, ultimately included more bands, many more bands than grunge or grunge rock. I think it was more of a wider field. Lots of bands that I think had great innovative sounds and were very influential on me, but couldn't be described as grunge or grunge rock really. Would have been maybe the Jesus Lizard and Girls Against Boys they were East Coast, and so lots of kind of I think early punk rock and hardcore influences in these bands. Again, same influence like Jacob's Mouse, but from rural England, great 90s alternative rock band. Newswell, again, another East Coast, New Jersey band, pulling on a bit more of funk and prog and metal influences, but definitely good, classic alternative rock band. Pavement, Seb Ardo, those two bands had quite similar kind of really relaxed kind of attitudes and feel. Their musical feel was, very, very kind of relaxed and laid back, and they had quite distinctive sounds and great songwriters as well. And I think really influential on music thereafter, 90s and 21st century alternative rock. So getting back to grunge, they cited, the Melvins have been cited as big influences, as they're a Washington band, so not surprising there. They might be described as sludge rock or sludge metal. Green River, possibly the first true grunge band, because they kind of first grunge band with like kind of that sound that you can kind of hear in all the posterior grunge bands. All these bands also massively influenced by the Minneapolis scene. Also other bands like the Minutemen. And also Pixies, a lot of these alternative rock scenes seem to have been started just before grunge scene and had a massive influence on it. And also a lot of metal, you know, and prog and hard rock. Soundgarden, you can hear a lot of Led Zeppelin in there, in the vocals, and also in the drumming and the rhythm. Although they were quite innovative as well, they had a very distinctive sound and style. Yeah, Pearl Jam. I mean, the three moments of fame. I think the kind of global success, you could say, was like the biggest three singles. I think the grunge singles were Teen Spirit, and then I'm Still Alive, or just Alive, and then Black Hole Sun. Alive is the Pearl Jam, which is Pearl Jam, kind of like funk grunge, I suppose you could say. And then Soundgarden's Black Hole Sun, massive single. And then for me, the whole scene kind of was wrapped up in a nice little bow and kind of sent to heaven with Screaming Trees' last album, Dust, which is a magnificent pop rock album, and you know, clearly grunge style album, and they were, you know, a true grunge band from Seattle, I think. Or very nearby. The fashion was also really important. I think particularly, I mean, you can't really say there's alternative rock fashion, because that could just mean anything. There's, you know, you get in alternative rock bands, you could get punks and goths and metalers, you know, anything. But there is a grunge fashion, and grunge fashion was almost like what punk fashion kind of professed to be, or kind of attempted. You know, they had this image like, we don't give a fuck what you think, but actually they really did give many fucks. I mean, they you know, they put a lot of time. Punk fashion is one of the great fashions in history, one of the great fashion waves, and they put a lot of time into design, clothes designing, and hair, and a lot of them had stylists, and you know. Yeah, so spent a lot of time on their appearance and image, and grunge really was the true, we really don't care what you think, because they really didn't. I mean, you can tell they didn't, because most of them just had like, they'd wear like, you know, their grandfather's old, you know, lumberjack shirt, like flannels, and like just old kind of bland t-shirts and jeans, 20-year-old jeans with rips, you know, worn. That was the thing, it was worn. It was almost like inadvertently anti-establishment, because like anti-consumerism. You know, they were just, you know, if a shirt still stayed on the body, it was, you just continue using it. That was grunge style. And then, yeah, maybe, you know, pair of DMs, you know, pair of boots that just were going to last. You know, that was I think DMs were like the, you know, the if there were like a grunge footwear, it would be that, because DMs are built to last. You know, a pair of DMs literally can last a lifetime, and that's what grunge fashion is about.